This is Jarret Stockmar from Haster, and you were listening to BODS Mayhem Hour.
Welcome to BODS Mayhem Hour, your source for all hard rock, heavy metal, new metal, alternative, punk, horror punk, hardcore, rock, and all local bands, with your host, John the Bod, a.k.a. the Bodfather.
Hey everybody, welcome to BODS Mayhem Hour. I'm your host, John the Bod, a.k.a. the Bodfather. As always, I'm bringing you guys an awesome interview, but today's interview is very, very special to me. I first interviewed David Heida from Haster back in 2012, and they're making their reappearance back on the show for the second time, and he's brought along the lead singer of the group, Jarret Stockmar, and I'm very happy to have these guys on here because I'm a huge supporter of Haster and one of my favorite bands out of Orange County, California. What's going on, guys?
Hey.
What's going on, guys?
That's what I just said.
I know.
All right, so you guys have a new CD that's coming out. Looks like it's going to be out, what is it?
March 25th.
March 25th.
Titled Let It Go.
Yep, called Let It Go. And let's talk about this CD a little bit. What can we expect from this one from you guys?
Oh, man, a ton of stuff. We've been recording it for so long. It took us, we've been doing it for like, we recorded like 2 to 3 songs every couple of months or so, and it's pretty much whatever we felt like doing at the time. And so there's just a lot of material and a lot of different sounds on there. Like the EP searching was pretty straightforward, kind of in your face, like new metal, kind of that like Korn, Flaw, System of a Down, Slipknot type of sound. This one's just going to be a little different. Like we still have the heaviness, but I mean when we like have more melodic parts and it's pretty, it's more pretty. When we have heavier parts, it's heavier. Like we go in both directions just a lot more. It's really exciting. We
kind of go through, if anything, we found more of our voice this record and just kind of experimenting with what we wanted to do and just really not caring. Like we just kind of wrote what we wanted and took the songs where they went and didn't really like put any limits on what we wanted to do. Like that's the kind of the great thing about us is just like if something sounds good, we just keep on doing it and see where it ends up taking us.
Mm-hmm. Just gonna say, since it's an independent, we're independent. We do our own thing, and we don't have anybody go to just a private studio in Corona, California, which is like 30 minutes away, and we go there and we're able to work with our own producer, Christopher Eck, and he's kind of that outside ear for us, you know, and so that's all we have. Instead of having like, you know, a studio head or a manager or a producer telling us exactly what to do or this won't sell or this will, like we get to record what we want with the quality that these professionals would be able to offer, and that's what's really awesome because I mean the thing sounds like $1 million, and that's what we really wanted was just a high quality CD. Whether you like it or not, whether it's good or not, it's at least it sounds good. So
yeah, like I mean, there's so many hours and so many months just put it into the album alone, just on production wise. That I mean, we hear all the other bands, the signed bands, the big artists that we all adore. And when you hear their CDs, you go, okay, that sounds like $1 million. And we did everything we could to make this album sound exactly like that, but with our own budget.
Exactly.
Jarret, I want to ask you, and last time David was on here, I was highly praising your voice on here with your vocals and everything. I want to know, where does that come from you and your inspiration with some of these songs?
Oh, man. Well, the screaming part was listening to Slipknot when I was little. I would just, in my own room, upstairs, I'd slam my door shut because I was a pissed off, rebellious teenager, and I'd blast Slipknot at like, you know, volume 40, which was the max volume on my little stereo that I had, and I'd scream at the top of my lungs. My parents thought I was a demon or something, and then I realized one day I was like, wait, I can actually do this, and that's where the screaming came from. But the singing, I was doing choir and like musical theater all through elementary, middle, and high school, so. That's where that came from. I was always performing, at least in like plays and stuff. It's funny. That's what I moved to LA recently to pursue like the acting thing along with the music that I'm doing, and I've always been kind of just a creative person, and so musical theater is where the voice came from. At least the training. I've never really had formal training though. But yeah, I mean the craziness and like the emotional. That's definitely the Jonathan Davis. I'm obsessed with him from Korn, the singer Korn. I don't so much listen to them anymore, but I mean, Jonathan Davis has always been my number one. I'm his number one fan. I love that
guy. You heard it right here. He's the self-proclaimed number one fan of Korn. Or Jonathan Davis, I should say. So
we'll probably get all number one fans coming after us now.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, right.
But honestly, though, as I told David before last time, I love this band. I like what it brings to the table. I like the flow of the music. I love the vocals. David's guitar playing is phenomenal. To me, when I first heard this was a fresh breath of music, man. I mean, honestly.
Awesome. That's great.
What do you guys think of the fans' reaction is with some of these new songs? Are you guys playing these new songs live, and how is the reaction from the fans?
We've been playing probably 80% of the new record live for 2 years now. Like, it's kind of what's been kind of great about us is like we kind of write the songs and then we'll go, fuck it, let's go play it live next week and then test it out and see how the songs work and kind of adjust from there. But if anything, it's like as we've gotten tighter as a band and gotten tighter with these songs, it's the reactions have just gotten better and better. Like the show we played last week, where a lot of the people have not heard the new songs yet, were just kind of blown away. They're like, "Wow, you guys are really good now!" Like, and it's great hearing that. Like, I mean, because it's like we're hearing all that hard work kind of put in that. Like now we're hearing like praise for our hard work, but like we can't wait until everyone hears the rest of Let It Go. Like, I mean, there's so many like little pieces of this record that, I mean, we hear, but we want everyone else to hear and go with. So
yeah, it's funny. I listened to this thing just nitpicking and like trying to figure out what parts work and what don't. I've probably listened to every song 1,000 times. I just want somebody else to hear it but me. I'm so excited for that.
Every
like
time
we released Crutch on Monday,
Yeah.
and the reaction from that has been pretty good. Like, I mean, it's one of those things. Like, I mean, we are all critiquing of like how people are actually going to react when they hear the song, but it's great because that's like one of the heaviest songs on the record, and people are just kind of like, if anything, they're like, "Wow, you guys went extra heavy now." We're like, "Okay, thanks," but we're still like, wait until you guys hear everything else we did. So
Mm-hmm.
now you can get
there's moments.
that's a free download that you can get right now of Crutch, right?
right now, we're going to give it away for free until Medicine, which is our music video that comes out on March 3rd. Pretty much kind of giving back to all the fans who've waited for 2-3 years for this record. So just kind of giving it back to them right now.
Yeah, every time I would message David, and we talk quite frequently. I'd say, "So, how's it going? What's going on?" We're still working on the album.
We're still working.
It's so true.
Yeah, because I mean, like the thing is, it's like we get to a point where we have like 9 songs, and we're like, man, we should release this, and then like we'd spend another month just practicing playing shows, and then we write another 3 songs, and then we're like, okay, let's go record those, and then we kind of go back and forth on some of the mixes on the other songs, and then continue write. And we had a goal early on of making this a full length, like just putting as many songs as we want on this record.
Yeah.
And a couple of them got scratched, but I mean, in the long run, this album it's its own voice. Every song I think sounds completely different than the next, and you hear us kind of go through the transitions of everything that we love about music and what makes us an artist. And if anything, we found our voice. Like, I think this record kind of really proclaims kind of the Haster sound.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, totally. I mean, the first CD, like the EP Searching, I came into the band and those songs were already like I tried out to those songs, and so basically I wrote like when I joined, we just did a 180 and like went and recorded them, and the songs were already written, so it was interesting because I just wrote vocals over over songs that were already written, and then from there with the EP we were able to find a bassist, Bob McCool, really talented dude. Like, I mean, he's probably the best bassist I've ever heard like live, and that's saying something. But and we added him, and then from there, that's when we, like, as the core group, me, Brian, David, and Bob, we were able to start actually writing our sound as a group of like what Haster has kind of become. Because like if I remember now, like back then when we were recording that EP, it seems like a lifetime ago, and it doesn't even feel like part of the band now. Like we've come through so much like as this new group that like that really is, and it's really exciting to put out a full-length record with these guys. And recently we added, Patrick, another guitarist, another vocalist, and he adds a completely different layer. I mean, the guy is just a powerhouse when it comes to creativity. He's singing, he can play bass, he can play guitar, he has a full-on studio in his house, and he's recording songs, sending them all the time. Like, so I mean, that's pretty much, he's like the next step. Like, it's funny because we added Bob, and that kind of is like the basis for this past record, or the one that we're coming out with now, Let It Go. And then like with Patrick, it's like the sky's the limit. We're gonna even keep going further. It's crazy.
The funny part is when I first heard you guys, I actually saw a video and Bob was walking around in the crowd with his bass playing.
I remember when he used to do that.
And I told David that the first time I had him on the show.
Yeah. Well, that's funny too, because like Patrick, I think was on our YouTube channel the other day, and he was just kind of looking up stuff like of our own past material, and he found a Halloween show where Bob was dressed in a poncho walking around the crowd.
Yeah, the Halloween show. Oh man, so funny. He like walked out to the front of the building, I think, and was playing bass while having a conversation out front. And his bass was like on, and I was on stage singing. David's playing guitar, Brian's playing drums, and he's just outside talking to people that are smoking cigarettes. It was pretty cool.
So you guys just pretty much, we're playing. Let's just walk over here. Let's do it.
Yeah. It's hard to pull off now because we're playing some of these bigger venues, but whenever we used to do those bar shows, stage and kind of go where he wanted, he'd disappear for, upwards of, 2 to 5 minutes. I mean, his bass never stopped playing, but I mean, he's gone. I don't know where he went.
I mean, with every show you play with, like the small shows, it's like you're trying to get everyone's attention, and that's kind of like, especially the early days, you're just trying to like get someone's attention, be like, hey, we're playing on stage, go look at us.
Yeah, come watch us. That was kind of our way of screaming at them, but not literally.
Since working on the new album and plus everybody listening to it, what about the fan base? Have you seen it grown since 2012?
Yeah, tremendously.
Yeah, too much. Yeah, tremendous. I mean, not too much, but just a lot.
I was going to say too much. What do you mean?
No,
yeah.
we're not there yet, but I mean, it's crazy because it's like we're unbelievably active on social media, and the amount of comments we get now are, I mean, they're tenfold from what they were a year ago. And it's just like every day you see new comments, new fans. And as you talk about searching, it's funny because people still find that record right now. And
yeah,
they don't even know that we're coming out with 14 new songs, not completely different, but like just us to that next level. And people are still finding Believe and Mind Control Campaign. And they're just like, holy shit, you guys are amazing. And we're like, okay, well, wait until you hear everything else. So
yeah.
I actually have the poster that you sent me signed and autographed, and the CD that you guys sent me signed and autographed hanging up on the wall right now.
That's awesome.
So,
that's awesome.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of you guys regardless. I mean, we're friends and everything, but it's still cool to listen to your music, and I can't wait to actually hear the rest of this. And David sent me 3 songs. He sent me Crutch, and what was the other 2? I can't remember.
I sent you Laborious, and I think I sent you Eyewitness, too.
The acoustic one was absolutely phenomenal. The acoustic stuff that you guys do is just badass, plain and simple.
Thank you, sir. That's what it's funny because that's my pride and joy at the end of the day, being able to do that. Like, I can write and sing acoustic songs all day, every day, 24/7. Just like, give me a guitarist and I will sing to that. I love singing to that. It's the best.
Now, you guys have opened up for some cool bands here recently. Unwritten Law is one of them to speak about. Let's talk about how that went for you guys.
That was probably the best show we've ever played. I think hands down the best show we ever played.
I actually had to, when we were setting up, the crowd was so big, I pulled out my smartphone and took a picture of the crowd. I had to.
Wow.
Just like right down stage, I was like, oh my gosh, just click. It was awesome.
It's also because it's like we played the Observatory, which has gone through a couple different name changes now, but I remember as a kid in high school going to shows there, and even now I still go to shows at that place and see bands like big name bands play, and now to be on that stage too is just really it's like a bucket list type thing. It's like a check off. It's kind of like when we first played the House of Blues in Anaheim. That was like the ultimate goal for me. Now it's like funny because we play there probably every 3 or 4 months. But
yeah, it's crazy. I remember being in my prior bands thinking like the House of Blues Anaheim is going to be like, that'll be the day that I die. I'm just going to be so happy playing there. And then now we're playing the Observatory in front of all those people with Unwritten Law. I mean, it's just nuts how things work. And it's funny because like we've landed these shows just from David does a lot of work on social media, and that's how it happened. I mean, wasn't it just a status, David?
Yeah, it was just like another promoter just advertising about the show and just hitting him up and just going like, hey, we want to play, and then next thing we know, we're on the show.
Yeah, it was awesome. I mean, it takes a certain amount of clout to be able to do that, like fans and whatnot and likes. Yeah. But I mean, what it really comes down to is just being present on social media, and that really does open up opportunities. I mean, I'd say every single opportunity that we've had has come from our active social media lifestyles, just always being available and always on, which is really cool.
I post all of my shows on Facebook, and I'm working on getting an official website for the show. So
nice.
Yep. Facebook's where it's at. That's where it's all at.
I mean, you
as
can't just sit there. You have to keep trying and trying and trying to put it out there, and eventually, man, squirrel's gonna get the nut. Honestly,
Yeah.
It's like you have to punch people in the face, and at some point, it's like it just explodes. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, look at Lord. Like, it's the same thing. It's just like a small song that came out 2 years ago. Now it's the biggest fucking song ever.
Royal song, it's crazy.
played with Unwritten Law. Did they check out your set and give you any critiques or anything like that? Did they like the set?
No comment. I don't know.
Oh no.
No, they were cool. They I don't know. David, you talk.
I'll talk. Like, I mean, it was kind of funny. I mean, because it's like we really didn't have that too big of an interaction with them, but Brian has a really good story about the drummer kind of after our set, kind of coming up to him and asking to borrow a lot of his equipment. He didn't have anything. We were kind of like, wait, Brian was just kind of like throwing back of like, wait, you came with no sticks? So it was kind of like, there was like a little like interchange in between sets, but like, I mean, I don't think they really watched too much of our set. So
Now this is
but the funny thing is the drummer at the end was throwing out sticks to the crowd. You know, it was Brian's sticks. So if you were at the Unwritten Law show at the observatory and you caught the drummer's sticks, that's actually Haster sticks.
yeah. So send them back to us.
Yeah.
and I just interviewed Wade from Unwritten Law.
Oh, that's great.
That's funny.
No, they were really cool guys. They played a great show too. They killed it. It was awesome. It was funny because I listened to them as a kid, and like just hearing all these tunes, I was rocking out the whole time. Me and all my friends, and that was the best part. I mean, we got to play a great show in front of a great crowd, and then we got to see an awesome band play that's just been around for years, and they're still killing it. You know, there's so much energy, and they're just really professional on stage. They just got it down. It's like clockwork. So it was really cool.
Do you guys prefer clubs or festivals, or does it even really matter right now to you guys?
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it really doesn't matter. If there's a crowd and there's people there who want to see music, we're down to play. Like that's kind of
if there are people willing to listen, honestly, that's what gets us to places. I mean, it could be 4 people, it could be 100, it could be 500. It doesn't matter. We'll play for a bar with 20 people, or we'll play a bigger venue with a couple hundred. It doesn't matter. We just like playing in front of people.
It's kind of the great thing about this band is like we've played shows in front of one person. We've played shows in front of 900 people. We've played shows like in front of everything in between, and it's great having that kind of built into our own resume and in our own like history of playing live, because we're kind of used to everything now. Not everything yet, but I mean most of the big stuff early on of becoming a band and getting yourself out there, we've kind of been through it all. So nothing really kind of makes us go, holy shit, what the hell do we just do right now? Or something gets screwed up. So we've kind of been through it all. So
What can
we're constantly trying to get better. It's like every new thing we do. It's funny because we set these goals for ourselves, and like we'll just kind of accomplish them in passing, kind of like the House of Blues thing or the Observatory thing or releasing a full length. And it's because we're always looking forward, and we never actually take that moment to go like, hey guys, we're doing a good job. Like I don't think we've actually patted ourselves on the back, and then we're already looking towards the next step. Like this full length's done, we're already looking towards like recording the new stuff. Like it's an ongoing process for us always, just because of like that's just how we work. And so it's like, all right, good job. Well, anyways, let's keep going, and it's just like a constant battle, and it's fun. It's fun.
What can fans expect of the show from you guys?
Craziness. I mean, we pretty much just go as hard as we can for, if we have 30, 40 minutes, we don't stop playing. Like we try to play as much as we can in that time frame where it's not that normal thing of just the normal banter of like a band you've never heard of in between fans and stuff like that. No, we want to show you as much music as we possibly can in the time frame that we have, and just go, because it's like we have beginning of the show, we have after the show to always talk to our people, but the people who don't know who we are, that's who we're trying to get. That's who we're trying to make either a fan of Haster or just be like, okay, that band sucks. But we're trying to get them to come into us and know who we are and kind of respect what we do.
Right.
Yeah, we're trying to like make an impression, whether it's good or bad. Like we want people to talk about us afterwards, and that's kind of the goal. And so like we do that. We have transitions. I mean, we like break it down in music. Like we practice transitions from songs probably as much as the actual songs themselves, just so the show is just set in stone and really clean. That way there's no downtime, there's no messing around. Because when I get up there, honestly, because if you listen to the CD, I mean, you hear like there's like a lot of screaming and there's a lot of singing, and I do that live. Like I go right back and forth. Like if they're screaming and singing back to back or going back and forth on a song, I do that live, and it's really tough. And so like I get like out of breath, like pretty insanely sometimes at the shows.
Yeah.
But so like when the song's over and everybody's like expecting like, thank you guys so much, blah blah blah. Like I'm like, oh, thank you. I can barely. You know what I
Thank
mean?
you, Cleveland.
You need the Marilyn Manson oxygen tank in the back.
Yeah,
Wow.
exactly, man. Like I need it's crazy. It's a lot of work, and so like it's just like we want to keep it going. We like keeping the momentum going.
Yeah.
Now, this is for both of you. The first time you guys heard the fans singing your music, how was that reaction, if you can recall it?
Oh man, I mean that for me. I remember it was at that Halloween show we were talking about, and there were a lot of friends of the band there at that Halloween show, and you know, we had a couple of friend bands there just in general, and it was just all kind of people that loved us and we loved them, just kind of close knit group. And all of our friends were singing the words, and I remember looking out and just being like, no way. It was like this overwhelming like kind of feeling, kind of like when you get the chills. And I just felt like the chills go up. In the middle of the set, it was, I think during Mind Control campaign, and people were singing the words, like I'd say like 10 to 20 of them, and my mind was just blown, just completely blown. It was so awesome. It's such a great feeling to know that people are actually listening, you know, because that's confirmation right there. That means that they didn't listen once, they didn't listen twice, they listened a couple of times, enough to know the words, and that means a lot. That's crazy.
Yeah, I try to find places like throughout the songs live where I can kind of take a break from what I'm doing and look out into the crowd and find those moments. And I think it was probably the second I think it was the second time we played House of Blues, and I remember just the railing, and it was just like all these fans that we've made through social media just on the railing with our friends and family behind them, and they all were knowing every part of these songs, and it was just that's when I know we're kind of getting somewhere. It's like when you have that reaction from kind of the people closest to you, and they love and respect what you're doing, and that's the best thing. That's like probably the best feeling.
Yeah, that's confirmation right there that you're reaching out to people.
Yeah,
guys, this is for both of you again. What do you think that Haster brings to the table for music?
I think it brings kind of a new take on an old song, so to speak. You've heard this type of music before, but it hasn't been made, and we're totally in this niche group in Orange County where we're trying to bring to the table something that was kind of just forgotten, honestly. Like it was a wave of music, a wave of like kind of like the early 2000s like Ozfest metal, where it was like mainstream but not. And like you know, like with the beginning stages of Killswitch Engage, and like I was talking about, you got these bands like, you know, Il Nino and Moto Grader and like early System of a Down stages, early Limp Bizkit stages. At some point, MTV just dropped these guys and started going Akon on us, while the radio dropped them and started going, you know, We Came as Romans, and just this kind of breakdown hardcore produced sound. And we don't hate either one of those genres of music. We're taking it back and kind of picking up where those bands left off, and doing pretty much what we want, and in our own way. And so I think in today's current standard of music, not necessarily in like of all time, like it's been done before, but it just hasn't been done recently in the past 12 years. I mean, even the bands that were making new metal, like bands that just are out with a new CD. Slipknot's recording. System of a Down has new material in the past like 5 years, but none of it sounds like the same, and I would argue anywhere near as good as it used to be.
Right, I agree. Metallica the same way, of course.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think, I mean, as we have these discussions all the time with in between the band and friends of bands and stuff like that, where we talk about like kind of the cycle of music, where everything kind of goes in cycles and kind of repeats itself. And like if anything, I think heavier music, or like the music from the late 90s, early 2000s, I think people are looking for again. I think people are looking for something heavy to come back through, where kind of right now, if you listen to the heavier rock stations, they're not playing any heavy music anymore. They're playing more, I mean, like Lumineers, they're playing bands that aren't really rock.
Sons, Lord.
It's the same stuff.
Red Hot Chili Peppers, you know. And they're all great bands. There's no doubt. Those are the timeless bands. They're playing a lot of bands that are great music. Like the indie scene is great. And in California, it's huge. Like K-Rock, like you're saying, they're playing Lumineers and Mumford & Sons. And it's great. And you can't go wrong doing it. But it's just not, like KRQ used to play Korn. You know, they used to play Slipknot. They used to play Metallica. And they don't anymore. It's crazy.
You know, there's a new band that I heard, Graveyard does a new band, but they've been around for a while. And Rival Sons.
Oh yeah, Rival Sons. Yeah, I've seen them.
I mean, just like you said, it's not what we're accustomed to as metal fans.
Yeah.
Judas Priest is coming out with a new album this year.
Wow. I heard AC/DC's even making a new record too.
AC/DC and Tool supposedly is coming out with a new one.
Yeah, we're seeing them in March.
Yeah, they're looking forward to that one.
Yeah.
About Tool.
Are there any new bands that you're listening to right now that you like? That's made an influence on you guys, possibly?
For me, it's a band that I've loved since I've kind of heard about them is Gemini Syndrome. Gemini Syndrome's from here.
Oh, yeah.
They're just, they're a band that's just blowing up right now. And that's a band I really love their sound.
They're great. I remember hearing them on XM and just being like, what was that? And immediately just looking them up on my smartphone and rocking out to like 3 or 4 of their songs. I mean, they have an energy that's just nuts. And they're the table. I mean, they're familiar, but they're just beautiful. They give you chills, but then they're heavy at the same time. I mean, that guy's just on point. They're great.
What are some of the new songs that you guys like to play live? What are some of your guys' favorite off of it?
Ooh, what's your favorite, David?
Laborious we've been playing for 2 years now, but I still love playing that song because there's parts in especially in the break where I'm just like the vocal melodies where everyone, Bob, Jarret, and Patrick are all on point and just singing that, it sounds so good live. Yeah. And then, it's just funny because it's like Within These Walls is another new song that I love playing, because I kind of feel like that's our new Mind Control in a way. But everyone who's kind of heard that song early on has been like, holy shit, I love that guy. I love what you guys are doing in that song. But even the melodic songs that we have we've been able to go just kind of our normal rotation of music, you just see people really grooving and really getting into those songs too, because that's the first time they've ever heard those, and their reactions are kind of what speaks to us a little bit of how these songs are going to go over with everybody.
Yeah. My favorite is definitely just to play live. It's not necessarily my favorite song to listen to, but to play live is The Following. It's gonna be the second song on our record, and it's just heavy, man. It's just the heaviest song ever, and it's just so fun to play because I feel like a powerhouse. I can't even help it, and Patrick actually sings the choruses with me on that, and sometimes I'll just leave it to him and not even sing on the choruses or do the harmonies because I just like listening to the music when I'm there live. I'm like, I can't believe that we're creating this right now. It's insane. It's just out of control heavy. It's great. I think that's the second track on our record.
I've got 3 tracks off this album to play, and I can't wait to get the rest of them. So I'm looking forward to this, guys. Really am. This is a cool question that I've been asking, and I just recently put it in here. Strangest place a song has came to you to write.
For musically, music for us, it's always making a little, for me, with the music, it's always just comes from a little riff or a little just kind of ditty what we've been playing live. But I'd say if anything, it's always before a show, if we're tuning or setting up our gear, and if I have a little riff in my head, I'm like, oh, that sounds good. That's probably the weirdest because it's you're about to go perform, and now I've kind of got a riff going.
Yeah, I'm ready. I got this new riff, guys. On stage.
It's we're about to play.
Let's just wait till we get back home. Just worry about the show right now, dude. No, for me it was probably it was Fuller, and the lyrics and everything for that song were written, and I was going into the studio to record it, but my friend actually passed. This was a couple of years back. It's been a while, but one of my good friends passed away, just a fluke accident. And I remember just driving to the studio and being so bothered by it, and the lyrics to the song just started coming to me on the way to the studio, writing them. It was probably a 30-40 minute drive. I rewrote the entire song and kind of wrote it about him, and went in there with a completely different sound than I had been practicing or been singing before. I just rewrote everything completely just in the 30-minute drive. Went in there and changed everything. It was oh, by the way, you guys, I rewrote the entire song.
But that's kind of the thing about Jarret too. Is we'll practice these songs, or he'll get the melody going in practice, and so when we go to the studio, we'll lay all the parts, all the music down, and then after we send him that mix of all the music, that's when the lyrics always get changed. That's when the music kind of takes its different form, because he's hearing kind of the finished product, and that takes him even to a different place or a different step, what he hears in his head and where musically it's taking him. And that's always the best thing for us about hearing is he'll go into the studio, and honestly at this point I don't even know what to expect anymore of what he'll bring back to the table, because half the time or whatever he has practiced, it's completely different the moment we hear it on the rough mix.
Yeah.
The song that you wrote, Jarret, is it on the album coming up, or is it just not been released yet?
No, Fuller's on
YouTube.
You let it go.
Yeah,
Okay.
but it will be on the CD. It's
Okay.
6, track 7, I believe.
Yeah. Those things suck like that, man, and it's happened to all of us.
Oh yeah.
But wouldn't you say that music is just so much therapy and therapeutic for people? I mean, honestly.
Totally is. It absolutely is. That's the reason people listen to it and make it. It's a creative output for like therapy. I mean, for me, like I'll be pissed off and having the worst week of my life,
Yeah.
and I'll have to drive to practice and just like be bitter and pissed off the entire on the way. And the second we get there and we start practicing, it's just a release, and I feel I'm like $1,000,000, just so much better. It is my therapy. Music. This band is my therapy, 100%.
It's so
I've always
crazy
said
that
that.
music can connect every one of us, regardless skin color, wherever we're at.
Mm-hmm.
I just love it. It's like I was telling, someone the other day, I was like, I go to bed listening to music, I get up listening to music, so I eat, breathe, and sleep music.
Yeah. I mean, think about it, like just driving places, driving in your car.
Yeah.
It takes you a different place. Like you zone out when you're driving somewhere
Mm-hmm.
because you'll hear a song on the radio and it'll just take you to a different part of your life.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of that, with the shape of today's metal music, do you guys think that there'll ever be another huge metal act like the ones of like Maiden, Priest, Metallica, AC/DC? And if so, who do you think it might be to carry that torch?
I think it's a band that we don't even know of yet. I think kind of the next wave of metal hasn't even hit yet. I think the bands that are going to kind of shape kind of the next, I'd say, decade and a half of metal, you don't even know who they are yet. I think
Haster.
right now we're kind of I don't know if we want to say stuck in the past a little bit, but I kind of feel like a lot of the metal and what people still listen to was from 20 years ago. Like, I mean, I still listen to music from 20, 30 years ago because that's the music I love, but kind of the branch and the path for new metal music to kind of get out there is kind of shrinking and shrinking and shrinking more and more. And really, you kind of get the new bands. I mean, especially for me, I get a lot of the new bands now just from like online radio. Like I get it from that path, but you kind of have to find that niche market where you can find those bands, and it's not really accessible to a lot of people anymore.
Mm-hmm.
That's true.
Well, yeah, and I agree with David. I think that the next big metal bands are playing in your backyard shows. They're playing at the small local bars. I mean, they're the bands that nobody's heard of, but that will get hopefully noticed or picked up. I think like we played with some great bands. I mean, we played with one of the bands we play with a lot nowadays is Stereotype, and they're one of my favorite bands to listen to, and they have that same sound that we're going for. I mean, the Armature out in Texas, they're one of the best bands I've ever heard, let alone seen live. And then also Cerebellion, a band that is close to us. They're in Orange County as well. I mean, there's bands that you've never heard of, but they're some of the best bands I've heard or seen live, and that's up against we just saw Stone Sour recently at the House of Blues Anaheim, and I think that Stereotype or Armature or Cerebellion's show easily goes up against Stone Sour's show, if not better. I think the Armature kills them, blows them out of the water, and they're pretty similar types of music. And it's just, I think that the new bands just haven't, like David said, haven't been discovered yet. But I think that it's in these niche places that are across the U.S. I mean, in Orange County, it's in small bars, and in Texas, it's in the club scene, and in Austin, East Coast, it's just at your local bar. It's these bands that are playing that are waiting for you to hear them, but that nobody's listening anymore. It's tough.
It seems like the bands that I interview on the East Coast, it seems like it's more harder for them to get fan bases out, and I don't know why.
Wow. I would have thought it would, because
I thought it would be the other way around.
yeah, because I thought it would be, for them, it'd be a lot easier to get the local scene going, but not the national thing, because out here in California, it's ridiculously hard just to get a local scene, because so many people, especially out here, they have 9 other friends who are in bands, and they're all playing the same night as you. Yeah. Or they're going to go see a concert at Staples, or they're going to go see a basketball game. Like, there's so many different things out here in California that it's hard to get that, like, basically that entertainment dollar from people, because they're out doing so many other things every night.
Last question for you guys. Have you ever received an email or a fan to come up to you guys after the show and say, I really like your music, and this song has helped me out through some tough times? And if so, how does that mean to you guys?
I know we've had a fan talk about, because was it Take Me? We had a fan write us about her boyfriend who died in a car accident.
Oh, it was so sad.
Yeah, and I know Jarret was talking to her for a little bit, but I know she told us about the line that's "Take me to the stars." Like that whole part is her like remembering her boyfriend who passed.
Yeah, and I mean that's what it's all about, really. I mean, these songs are just like ways that we express ourselves, and like for me, the words and lyrics. I'm talking about specificity in my life, but I'm trying to talk about it in a general way that everybody can relate to, and to like hear a girl relate to that in that way is just so like it's money for me. I mean, that's the reason that I'm doing this. I mean, that makes everything worth it for me, just because if that and it just if I can help people relate and people get the same, I guess if people are getting the same sort of inspiration for different things in their lives that I'm getting from writing it, then I mean then the work is done. I mean that's it for me. I mean it's great that the music's good and like the fans are there, but like if people are actually being inspired by this stuff, like I can't even wrap my mind around it. It makes me emotional thinking about it now. Like
Right.
It's crazy.
How can people get a hold of you guys to say we love your music or pick up some merch? How can they do that?
Official website is haster.co. Facebook /Haster Band, Twitter @Haster Band, Instagram @Haster Reverb Nation /Haster. You write us an email, you write us a message on anything, we usually respond back to you. We'll
Askband@gmail.com.
Yeah, we see everything. We write back to everybody. Like, I mean, we get the normal like stupid comments, but we get the great ones, and we always respond back to everybody. Like, that's kind of the great thing about our band and the guys in the band, that we care about our fans. We care about everyone who hears our music, and like we want to interact with everybody. But we have a ton of merch coming soon. We have the new album Let It Go out March 25th. Our new single is Crutch. It's out on YouTube right now. You can download it for free on reverbnation.com /Haster. Our music video for Medicine is out March 3rd, and that'll be on YouTube and on iTunes also.
Guys, I want to thank you all so much for doing this with me. As I've said, I've been a huge supporter of you guys for 3 years, since I've been doing this show, actually. I love the music. Glad to have you on here again.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you, John. Thank you for having us, and thank you for all the support throughout the years.
Hey, man.
Yeah, it's been great.
That's not a problem. Can you guys do a promo for the show before I let you go?
Yeah. Jarret, you do it.
All right. This is Jarret Stockmar from Haster, and you were listening to BODS Mayhem Hour.
Everybody, Let It Go from Haster. Full-length album comes out March 25th of 2014. Go get it. They also have Searching the EP. They also have White Blank Page. Go support this band. I really like them. I think you would dig them too. Like I said, they're a really fresh breath of air for music. I love these guys, and I think you guys will too. Stick around. We got some music coming up from Haster off their new album, and you only hear these interviews right here from BODS Mayhem Hour and Uber City Radio. Thanks, guys.
Thanks.